and the bell ballet.
The following program is made possible by a grant from Pan American Life Insurance Company. It's Varsity Quiz Bowl, and today, Clark Brady, Kent Davis, Stephen Ross, and Nicholas Sloop from De La Salle High School will meet in a battle of quick recall. Randy Cousins, David Lima, Joseph Spiza, and Leon Quark from Bonnabel High School. The alternate from De La Salle is Stephen Varner, and the coach, Barbara Thornhill. And the alternate from Bonnabel is Michael Lott, and the coach, Harry Hancock. And now, here's our moderator, Mel Levitt.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and welcome once again to Varsity Quiz Bowl. This is our second game of our quarterfinal round. These two are among the 8 teams that have survived out of an entry of 64 at the first of the year. The winner today will play in the semifinals Newman School. So it's going to be interesting. We have some great teams. Before we get started, let me introduce our judge, Ann Akers. Dr. Ann Akers is with us, along with our scorer, Terry Utterback. He's a member of the broadcast department here at WYES, Channel 12. And our recognizer is Cliff Beal, a student at Loyola, an intern here at Channel 12. Let's give him a nice welcome. All right, Bonnabel, De La Salle, let's begin. Here's a face-off. We're going for an audio lanyap of 30 points. The face-off is this. He reared back to throw his ball into the gallery after winning the New Orleans Open last Sunday, shooting a 4-under ball.
Tom Watson.
Tom Watson was the man who did it. You've got 10 points, and Bonnabel quickly gets on the board. Okay, here's your first lanyap. It's 30 points. It's an audio question. I'm going to ask 3 questions, as a matter of fact, after you listen to this selection. So listen closely, then I'll ask.
Isn't it rich? Are we a pair? We here at last on the ground, you in midair. Send in the clowns.
Is that familiar to you? Send in the Clowns is probably the best known song of this composer, whose other works include Company, Follies, and A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. Can you name him? The composer of Send in the Clowns. Anyone? Stephen Sondheim is his name. All right, now you got 2 more questions, and both will concern themselves with the musicals associated with Stephen Sondheim. For 10 points, name the musical that Send in the Clowns is from. What musical?
Roberta.
No, it's from A Little Night Music. And finally, for final 10, name the recent review. There was a tribute to Stephen Sondheim containing music from most of his shows and originating in London. Anyone? It was called Side by Side by Sondheim. We'll move on to another face-off. We're leading up to a lanyap at 20 for a quick 10. Name the National Scenic Trail located in Mississippi and Tennessee.
De La Salle, Brady. Not just Trace.
You've got it for 10 points. De La Salle is now on the board. Well, that evens it up, and here's a chance to go ahead now, De La Salle, with a 20-point lanyap. Of course, you all know that pi r squared is a formula for finding the area of a circle. I'm going to give you the formula for finding the areas of 4 different geometric forms, and you identify the form correctly for 5 points apiece. Number 1, the base times the side. All right?
Area of a rectangle.
Rectangle. It would be correct. Square also might apply. 1/2 the product of the base times the altitude.
Triangle.
Correct. Add the 2 parallel sides, multiply by the altitude, and divide by 2.
Trapezoid.
That is correct. 4 times pi times the radius squared.
Sphere.
You got them all. 20 points. All right, we have another face-off team. We're going for a lanyap of 30 points and a new book by Jeremy Rifkin. The author explains that although there will always be the same amount of matter in the universe, we may not be able to use it. Now, this is an interesting yet disturbingly simplistic statement of the second law of a physics discipline.
De La Salle, Brady. Should be.
No, afraid that's incorrect. Bonnabel will repeat now. You must ring in now. No consultation. In a new book by Jeremy Rifkin. The author explains that although there will always be the same amount of matter in the universe, we may not be able to use it. This is an interesting yet disturbingly simplistic statement of the second law of a physics discipline. For 10 points, what discipline?
Bonnabel quark.
Matter can be neither destroyed nor created.
No, this is thermodynamics law we're talking about. We'll go on to another face-off. For 10 points, what explorer is credited with the discovery and exploration of the...
Bonnabel cousins.
Sir Walter Raleigh.
That's right, it is. Sir Walter Raleigh. The Orinoco River in South America. All right, you've got 10 points. Here's a lanyap of 30. If you can correctly identify this famous person after one clue, you earn 30 points. After 2 clues, it's 20, and so on. 10 points if you need all 3. Otherwise, we'll go on to something else. Number 1 for 30 points. It's a man. He is considered to be the world's most distinguished living playwright, writing his monuments to modern despair. He's a towering international figure.
Shaw.
No. All right, second question. If you answer, 20 points. He's an Irish-born author who writes in French and translates many of his own works into English. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1969.
Eugene O'Neill.
No, we go on to number 3 for 10 points. He first gained international fame with his play Waiting for Godot. His best-known works include Endgame, Happy Days, and the trilogy Malloy, Malone Dies, and The Unnameable. The name is Samuel Beckett. Samuel Beckett. He's not that often performed, so that may be one of the reasons you had difficulty. Here we have another face-off going for a lanyap at 20. For a quick 10 points, name Louisiana's only national forest.
De La Salle Ross.
Jean Lafitte National Park.
No. Bonnabel, can you take it?
Bonnabel Lima.
Evangeline Park.
No, the only national forest is Kisatchie. Kisatchie. We have another face-off for 10 points. The epitaph of what great literary figure reads?
Bonnabel quark.
Keats.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. De La Salle. We'll repeat. The epitaph of what great literary figure reads, good friend, for Jesus' sake forbear, to diff the dust
De La
and
Salle
close it.
Brady.
William Shakespeare.
That's correct. It is William Shakespeare's epitaph. Blessed be the man that spares these stones, and cursed be he that moves my bones. A lanyap of 20 points coming up. Mexico is the 12th largest country in area in the world. It stretches across the southern borders of 4 states in the United States. All right, for 5 points, name the 4 states that border on Mexico.
Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California.
You named the 4 states. 20 points. We have another face-off team. We're going for a lanyap at 20 for 10 points. What is the mathematical term for a straight line approached by a given curve as one of the variables in the equation of the curve approaches?
Bonnabel Lima.
Directrix.
No, I'm afraid not. De La Salle will repeat. 10 points. What is the mathematical term for a straight line approached by a given curve as one of the variables in the equation of the curve approaches infinity? Must ring in.
De La Salle Davis.
Asymptote.
That's right. It is an asymptote. In case you're not familiar with the word, it's A-S-Y-M-P-T-O-T-E. Lanyap at 20 points. As well as going metric in terms of linear area, weight, and volume measurement, we're having to learn to think of temperature in Celsius or centigrade. Now, for 5 points each to the nearest degree, tell me what degree Celsius the following temperatures Fahrenheit would be. Number 1, normal body temperature of 98.6 F. What would it be C, or Celsius? Centigrade.
43.
No, close, but not close enough. 37 degrees centigrade. Number 2, room temperature of 70 degrees Fahrenheit would become what?
25.
No, just above. 21 degrees centigrade. Absolute 0 in degrees Celsius.
Negative 273.
That is correct. It is negative 273. And now for final 10 points. 5 points, I'm sorry. Tell me to the nearest degree what absolute 0 in degrees Fahrenheit is. In Fahrenheit, absolute 0. All right. So minus 459.6 degrees. We could round it off to 460. You picked up 5 points. De La Salle. Another face-off. No, I'm sorry. We won't have time for that. Not now. Not in the first half. The buzzer means, of course, that we're going into a rapid fire. As you all know, in rapid fire, lasting 2 minutes. I ask the questions as quickly as they're answered. If you answer correctly, you get 10 points. Incorrect answer is a -5, and we proceed question to answer. Remember, too, no referrals. You have only one answer per question. It's not like your face-off. And when the buzzer rings again, face-off, or rather rapid fire, will be over. Let's begin now, considering the fact that this will be about persons, places, and things based on general knowledge. So it's wide open except for one thing. Your answers have to begin with the letter M. M as in marvelous. Or whatever. Okay, ready? Let's go. Number 1, group of islands in the West Pacific named after their British explorer.
De La Salle, Davis.
Maldives.
No, it's Marshall. Number 2, Hiawatha married her. Who?
De La Salle, Ross.
Minnehaha.
Correct. Blonde, deceased Hollywood sex symbol.
Bonnabel, Quark.
Marilyn Monroe.
Correct. 18th century English writer, Lady Mary Wortley. What? Mary Wortley?
Bonnabel, Lima.
Macaulay.
No, it's Montague. She was quite contrary. Who was?
Bonnabel, Cousins.
Mary.
That's right. Area in Yorkshire, site of a famous battle of the English Civil War. Carries a double.
De La Salle, Sloop.
Marston's Moor.
That's right. Island in the Taiwanese Strait held by the Chinese nationalist state.
De La Salle, Ross.
It's Matsu.
Midway.
Matsu, one of the 3 Gorgons, slain
De La
by...
Salle, Ross.
Medusa.
Correct. English satirist who gave his name to a Louisiana town. Anyone? Mandeville. In Greek mythology, the goddess of fate or destiny.
De La Salle, Brady.
Moira.
That's right. Large, fierce baboon is called
De La
what?
Salle, Davis.
Mandrill.
That's right, Mandrill it is. Walt Disney's Steamboat Willie was
Bonnabel,
really...
Lima.
Mickey Mouse.
That's correct. Catherine, Queen of Henri II of France, is of this family. Family of the...
De La Salle, Brady.
That's right. 19th century U.S. astronomer Maria, last name Mitchell, region of northeast China and Japanese puppet stage.
Bonnabel, Lima.
Manchuria.
That's right. What a lady was called in colonial India. Mem Sahib, division of the U.S. Corps of Engineers, which produced the atom bomb.
Bonnabel, Speed.
Manhattan Project.
That's right. First and last name of the Queen of Scots
Bonnabel,
was...
Lima.
Mary.
And last name. Mary Stuart. Mary Stuart. 20th century U.S. poet, is author of Renaissance, was Millet. Edna St. Vincent. Opera by Von Flotow. Opera Marta or Martha. Province of South Central Canada with capital Winnipeg.
Bonnabel,
Manitoba.
That's right. Roman Empress and 3rd wife of Claudius I was Messalina. As the buzzer sounds to end the first half. Some very tough testing questions. 2 good teams and a lot of time to go, so stick around. We'll be back in just a moment after a halftime intermission. It's very brief. And then we're going to ask these gentlemen to tell us a little bit about what their reactions are to Prep Quiz Bowl and how it's affected them. Should be interesting. Stay tuned.
I'm Gene Sisco, co-host of Sneak Previews, your weekly guide to the new movies in town.
And I'm Roger Ebert. Next time on Sneak Previews, we'll review Caveman, a prehistoric comedy with Ringo Starr, Nighthawks with Sylvester Stallone as an undercover cop, and Excalibur, a retelling of the legend of King Arthur.
So join us for reviews of these movies and more next time on Sneak Previews.
See it Sunday evening at 10 on Channel 12.
We're back again. We'll continue playing this game, quarterfinal game between De La Salle and Bonnabel in just a moment. Right now, we want to, it was interesting when we tried this yesterday, find out what the young people who play the game feel about Quiz Bowl and how it's kind of affected their life or impacted them. How about you, Clark Brady?
Well, mostly I like Quiz Bowl just because it's kind of fun, and
That's a good reason.
I've always had this kind of garbage mind where I just know things that have no useful purpose in life, and Quiz Bowl gives me a chance to do something with that.
I'm amazed at the candor of the people that are on this show. How about you, Ken?
Well, the basic thing is I've learned a lot from it. I've learned probably just as much from this as in school, in class. And the most important thing was I met my girlfriend at a Prep Quiz Bowl match.
Now, that's a purpose we hadn't bargained for, but... Stephen.
Well, it's just been a lot of fun, and it's taught me how much I really don't know. And, well,
That's
about
great.
it.
It's a humbling experience for me, too, believe me. Nicholas, how about you?
It's really strange because people that I don't know come up to me in the halls and say hello and congratulate me. And also I have to follow in my brother's footsteps.
It's very, very important. I love it. There. You can't write scripts for them like that, can you? How about you, Randall?
Well, I agree with them mostly. You get to use all the garbage and you have a good time. And you learn a lot from it.
Right. I imagine it's kind of fun, too, isn't it?
Yes.
You get together, you get to know this group, for better or worse.
Yeah.
David, the captain here, this is your second year, just as it is Randolph, right? All of them.
Yeah.
All of them are playing their second year as a team. It's unusual.
As a 2-year veteran, I can speak and say that since I am a sports hound, this is the best place to come for a challenge. I mean, nowhere else are you going to be like this. I mean, you're really pumped up and everything. This is the place to get a challenge.
That's beautiful. That's right. It's competitive. How about you, Joe?
Well, it's like everybody else saying, it's a challenge, and you get all these strange kids coming up to you. Congratulations, can I have your autograph? Of course we sign. We're not snobs or anything. And we already had a poster offer made. We were going to have a poster made of all of us there to hang up in the room. So we just have our fun and games and get together and have a good fellowship.
Oh, that's terrific, Joe. How about you, Leon? What's it meant to you?
Well, mainly it's forced me to learn things which I normally wouldn't have gone and learned myself, either on my own or in school, like especially current events. And it's also taught me not to be so nervous.
That's beautiful. Oh, listen. I think probably one of the greatest things about this show, in addition to the challenge that's been mentioned and the fun and the games, is the camaraderie you develop and the appreciation in particular of how very sharp and how very intelligent, but also how witty these guys are. A sense of humor helps. Okay, let's get down to business now. Forget the sense of humor. Here we go, second half. It's a 120-60 game. I think you all know, though, that 60-point deficit means just 2 questions and answers, really, when you consider both sides of it, face-off and lanyap. So let's begin with this visual. You've got a visual face-off. Start the game. I want you to look at the monitors in front of you. You're going to see a picture of an individual considered to have performed an invaluable service to the world of music as the teacher and sponsor of most of the brilliant musicians of his time. He's also remembered as the most celebrated pianist of the 1800s. He wrote many works for piano and orchestra, and in his Hungarian rhapsodies used gypsy.
De La Salle Davis.
Franz Liszt.
You've got it. Franz Liszt was his name. De La Salle has picked up 10 to start off the second half, and here's a lanyap of 20, and it also happens to be musical for 5 points apiece. With what musical instrument do we associate these musicians? Number 1, Doc Severinsen.
Trumpet.
That's right. Liberace.
Piano.
Right. Isaac Stern.
Violin. Violin.
Correct. And finally, Gregor Piatigorsky.
Violin.
All right, we'll ask for an answer.
Violin also.
No, it's, well, kind of a big violin. Cello. He's a cellist. You had 3 of the 4. That's 15 points for De La Salle. We'll move now to a face-off. Coming up, a lanyap at 25 points. Her fans sang Happy Birthday last Saturday night at the Fairmont Hotel.
De La Salle Ross.
Ella Fitzgerald.
Correct. I'll give you, this lanyap, I'll give you a brief summary of 2 Broadway comedies that later were made into movies, and then we'll go on to a couple more questions. For 5 points each, the total lanyap here is 25. Tell me the titles of the plays. First, an egomaniac breaks his hip and is confined to an average Midwestern home, which he proceeds to turn upside down. Now remember, we're talking about all of Broadway's history. This doesn't have to be a recent one.
Guess who's coming to dinner?
I shouldn't say this, but the dinner part is right. Strangely enough, though, The Man Who Came to Dinner. It's from the 30s. Maybe that was association. The relatively normal daughter in a zany family falls in love with the boss's son, whose parents are appalled at the girl's family. In a wild climax with firecrackers exploding all over the place, true love wins out. Made into a movie, it was You Can't Take It With You. All right, now, we've got a couple more. Both of these plays were written by the same 2 men. For 5 points apiece, can you name the authors? So the great authors of the 30s, they were George Kaufman and Moss Hart. And for a final 5 points, what award did one of these plays receive? Okay, we'll ask for an answer. It was a Pulitzer Prize for drama. Pulitzer Prize for drama. Another face-off, going for a lanyap at 20 points. Absalom was a biblical figure who was King David's favorite son. William Faulkner wrote a story entitled...
Lima.
Absalom, Absalom.
Oh, I'm sorry. Having interrupted, I think you'll understand in a moment when we turn it over to De La Salle why we can't accept that. I'll repeat now for De La Salle. Absalom was a biblical figure who was King David's favorite son. William Faulkner wrote a story entitled Absalom, Absalom. The question, though, for 10 points, who wrote the satirical poem entitled Absalom and Ahithophel? Ahithophel. His name was John Dryden. Another face-off for 10 points. Name the prehistoric flying reptile of the Mesozoic era.
Bonnabel, Spiza.
Petrodactyl.
You got it. Okay. All right. The judge is saying it's really a pterodactyl, but we're not gonna throw you off on that one. Here's a lanyap at 20 points. It's a matter of spelling, inverted spelling. For 10 points apiece, name the world's, this is very simple, the world's 2 largest land mammals. 10 points for each one of them. Mammals now. Land.
Land mammals, yeah. The rhinoceros and elephant.
All righty.
Rhinoceros and elephant.
Elephant's correct. The other is the hippopotamus. You've got 10 more points. Another face-off, going for a lanyap of 30. For a quick 10 points. What did all these men have in common? The old man in the corner, Philip Trent, Lord Peter Wimsey, Max Carados, and John Thorndike, K.C. All right? They had one thing in common.
Bonnabel's cousins. They were fictional detectives?
You're correct. They were. All fictional detectives. Here's a lanyap of 30. 3 great French novelists continue the themes of their major works through many volumes and stories. For 10 points apiece, name the novelist who created the following. First, an interwoven series of short stories and novels entitled The Human Comedy. English translation. I'm not going to attempt the French.
James Joyce.
No, this was Balzac. Honoré de Balzac. Second, the long fictional confession entitled Remembrance of Things Past.
Dostoevsky.
No, this is Marcel Proust. His reputation is based on his 10-volume novel, Jean Christophe, the story of a young German-born musician.
Rousseau.
And his name was Roland, Romain Roland. We'll move on to another face-off. We're going for a lanyap at 20 following Descartes, or Descartes. This great 17th century British mathematician and natural philosopher devised tools for quantifying the world by deducing natural order. His rules dealt with bodies in motion. He formulated the laws of gravity and motion.
Bonnabel, Spiza.
Newton.
Right, Isaac Newton. Got 10 points, lanyap 20. These 2 male ballet superstars, both defected from the Soviet Union. One operates out of London and Paris, was at one time a favorite partner of Margot Fonteyn. The other, home-based in New York, dances with the American Ballet Theater. For 10 points, name the 2 men.
I'll delegate it to cousins.
Right.
Nureyev and Baryshnikov.
You've got them both, 20 points. Another face-off. We're going for a lanyap at 25. One of the theories of psychology is the doctrine that observed behavior provides the...
cousins. Behaviorism?
No, I'm afraid not. We'll repeat for De La Salle. One of the theories of psychology is the doctrine that observed behavior provides the only valid data of psychology. For 10 points, who coined the term behaviorism, by which we know this doctrine? Can you answer, De La Salle? His name was...
De La Salle Ross.
Freud.
No, his name was John B. Watson. Another face-off. This 1950s movie was originally a jury room drama, filmed for television. It was written by Reginald Rose. It was directed by Sidney Lumet. It starred Henry Fonda and E.G. Marshall in the 50s.
De La Salle, Brady.
QB7?
No. Bonnabel will repeat. 1950s movie, originally a jury room drama, filmed for TV, written by Reginald Rose, directed by Sidney Lumet, starring Henry Fonda, a much younger Henry Fonda, and E.G. Marshall. Can you name it? What was the name of this TV drama?
Bonnabel, Spiza.
Playhouse 90?
No, it was 12 Angry Men. Sometimes it's repeated, usually in the late movie. We have another face-off. This actor who died recently portrayed cowboys in movies and on television.
Lima.
Jim Davis.
It was Jim Davis. Of Dallas, lanyap at 25. Alpha Centauri, the closest star to the Earth next to the sun, is a multiple star 4.3 light years away. It can be seen only in the southern hemisphere. Actually, it consists of 3 stars for 5 apiece. Name these 3 stars for an additional 5 points. Tell me the name of the constellation in which it is located.
The Centaur is the constellation, and they're Beta, Proxima, and Alpha.
That's it. And wait a minute. Bonus. Didn't see this. 5-point bonus if you can tell me also what kind of star is Proxima Centauri. What kind of star?
They're binary stars.
No, it's a red dwarf. We have 4, however, and that's 20 points you picked up. Bonnabel High School. Another face-off. We're going for a lanyap of 20 points. The son of a prominent German businessman, he gained notorious distinction as the chief of the medical staff of the Auschwitz concentration camp.
Mengele.
That is right. Joseph Mengele took refuge in Paraguay. You have a lagniappe at 20 points. Oscar Strauss wrote the music for The Chocolate Soldier. For 10 points apiece, what famous Irish-born dramatist, critic, and essayist wrote the play upon which it was based, and what was the name of the play?
Casey. Try O'Casey.
Casey.
O'Casey.
O'Casey.
No, I'm afraid that's not right. You want to take a shot at the play quickly? We'll need... It was George Bernard Shaw and Arms and the Man was the play. We have another face-off. Going for 20-point lagniappe, some of this fine actor's roles have been Quentin Crisp in The Naked Civil Servant.
Del Sal Ross.
John Hurt.
You've got it for 10 points. All right. The lagniappe at 20 points. Lagniappe at 24 points for 5 apiece. Tell me the office each of the following members of George Washington's cabinet held. Alexander Hamilton.
Secretary Treasury.
What is that?
Secretary of Treasury.
Correct. Henry Knox.
War.
The Secretary of War. We're going to have to move. Timothy Pickering. Secretary of State. Edmund Randolph.
Attorney General.
Attorney General's correct. 2 of the 4. 10 points. De La Salle. Another face-off. Going for a lap. Wow. Well, somehow I felt with these two teams, as good as they are and as much experience and as much talent, it'd be this close, and it was. We're going to validate the final score. It's a very close game. And we'll be back in just a moment to declare who goes on to the semifinals to meet Newman. Right after this.
Solar collectors are familiar sights on rooftops all over the world. But turning sunlight into electricity, enough to run an entire city, is still too expensive to become reality. Now a new technology called a solar pond may help change that. Find out about solar ponds on Electric Ponds, the solar solution, on this public television station.
See it Monday night at 7:30 on Channel 12.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's the final score. A tremendous battle between these two teams. De La Salle 170, Bonnabel 155. Just a 15-point difference sends De La Salle into the semifinals against Newman School. Congratulations, De La Salle. You've done it again. And I think I can say without fear of contradiction that you will you'll long remember the Bonnabel High School team, which almost got there ahead of you. This was a great, great team. 2 solid years. All 4 men played right here, and they always played well. Good luck to you guys. It's beautiful. According to our elimination game plan, today's winner, De La Salle, will be back in 2 weeks to meet Newman in the semifinals. We'll see you again next week. Goodbye, everybody.
The questions on Varsity Quiz Bowl are prepared and authenticated by the WIS editorial research staff and known only in advance to the quizmaster, producer, judge, and researcher. All 64 schools participating in our year-long tournament are matched by blind draw. Selections of team members and methods of preparation are the sole responsibility of the schools and their coaches.